So in some of the videos above, there's some notes on this for some more in-depth of this. Go to those videos on the notes, but this is just kind of help you with this worksheet. So realize the 10 factorial, what that little exclamation means is we multiply everything from that number on down below. So that means we go 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So that's what the little exclamation means, is we're going to multiply all of those out from the top down. Okay, so you could go to your calculator now and just multiply those out. And I can't do it because this is in my way. So 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. Now most calculators will have some kind of a button somewhere. This one, it's under math, and then you move over to probability, and it's the fourth one down. So you just bring up that exclamation and it brings the same thing. So it's 3, let me write it down right here, 3628800. Okay, so now I can go back to this. So 3628800. So now on question number 2, it's 10 factorial, so that's 10 times 9 times 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1 divided by 8 factorial. So on the bottom of this is going to be 8 times 7 times 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. And since this is a multiply between everything, we can cancel stuff off. So let's cancel those off. The 8s go away, the 7s go away, the 6 goes away, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Those all go away. I'm left with 10 times 9, which is 90. Now, think about this one, n plus 1. So that means we start, remember we started at whatever the number is, so at 10 we started at 10, at 8 we started at 8. So n plus 1 we start at n plus 1. Now the next number down is 1 less. So 1 less than plus 1, so minus 1 off of that, and it's just n. And 1 less than that is n minus 1. And 1 less than that is n minus 2 and n minus 3. So now on the bottom I start with n minus 1 and 1 less than that. So I'm already at negative 1. Go down 1 more, you're subtracting 2. And here's, if you want to think of it this way, like this is 10. 9 is really 10 minus 1. 8 is 10 minus 2. 7 is 10 minus 3. 6 is 10 minus 4. So realize it's 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, but it's just 10, 10 minus 1, 10 minus 2, 10 minus 3, 10 minus 4. So when I have this, realize that that's all we're doing is this kind of thing. Okay. And again, I can take these numbers that are the same, and since it's a multiply, they'll all cancel off. And so I am left with n times n plus 1, which makes n squared plus n. So n factorial starts off with n, then we go down by 1, then we go down by 2, until we get to 1, 2, and 3. So it's always going to end at 3, 2, 1, like all of these end at 3, 2, 1. Okay, so if this n plus 3, remember we start at n plus 3, now we go 1 less, so 1 less than 3 would be n plus 2, n plus 1, just n. Now 1 less is n minus 1. Now since I've started at n plus 1, I go down 1, down 1, down 1. And so these all cancel each other off. And we're left with n plus 3 times n plus 2, which would be n squared plus 2n plus 3n plus 6, or n squared plus 5n plus 6. So I just did this distributive stuff, n times n times 2, 3 times n, 3 times 2, okay? All right, so now, where's my little spray bottle? There it is. You can pause yours as you need to. Now we're to the next questions. Move that out of my way, get the pen back. So it says term 1 is 2, term 2 is 4, term 3 is 6, term 8 is 4, term 5 is 10. What are you noticing about these numbers? So 8 compared to 4, 6 compared to 3, 4 compared to 2, 2 compared to 1. So realize whatever term number it is, they're all just doubled. So my equation is going to be 2 times n. Remember, n is the term number. So A5 would be the 5th term. A3 is the 3rd term. So the n is like the term that we're on. So that's the 7th term would be 2 times 7, which would be 14. Okay, so that's the equation. Now in this next one, it says find A1 is 7. What's A2? It says the difference is 3. Okay, so that means we're adding 3 each time. So 3 plus 7 is 10. Add 3 more is 13. Add 3 more is 16. Add 3 more is 19. Now, in the notes that you should have seen earlier, if you watched the videos, is AN equals DN plus C, and C equals A1 minus D. So that's the first term minus the difference. So the first term is 7 minus 3 is 4. Really, it's kind of like what's the 0th term? What's the term before the first term? Okay. So my general equation is the difference, which is 3, and n, and then whatever this c is, or the term before the first term, which is 4. And that's my equation. So now in question 8, it has an r. R means we're multiplying by that amount each time. So A1 is 4. A2 is 4 times 3, which is 12. A3, we're going to multiply that by 3 again, is 36. And then we're going to go 36 times 3. 8, 1. So 108. And then we're going to multiply that by 3. So 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 0 is 0. Add the 2. So 324. So now again in the notes that you watched on the video, it says that AN is always given by A1 times RN minus 1. So A1 is 4, R is 3, and then we just put N minus 1. That's the general equation. Okay. So now number 9, we're back to a D, which is the difference. So I start at 5, but now we're minusing the 2. So 5 minus 2 is 3, minus 2 more is 1, minus 2 more is negative 1, minus 2 more is negative 3. And so if I were to go the term before, so see how it's negative 3, negative 1, 1, 3, 5, the term before would be 7. Or we could say C equals A1 minus D. So A1 is 5 minus a minus 2, which makes 7. So now my equation is my difference. So see this, the difference times N plus C. So on this one it says, I start at 256, we multiply it by negative 1/4. So I'm going to come to my calculator, move this out of my way. 256 times negative 1 divided by 4. So that's my next term is negative 64. I'm looking right up here. Times that by negative 1 divided by 4. So that was negative 64, then a positive 16. And a negative times a positive is going to be a negative. Dividing or multiplying by 1/4 is the same as dividing by 4. So 16 divided by 4 is 4. Negative 4 times negative 1/4 is a positive, and 4 divided by 4 is 1. So AN is A1. So again, this formula, A1 times R to the N minus 1. That's what AN equals. Okay, so the R is negative 1/4, n minus 1. Number 11, it says this is my general equation, an equals an minus 1 times an minus 2. So to find a3, realize I'm replacing that n with a 3. So 3 minus 1 is 2, so this is really a2. And 3 minus 2 is a1, so it's a2 times a1. Well, a2 times a1 is 3. So now if I were to go about finding the fourth term, so n is 4. So 4 minus 1 is 3. 4 minus 2 is 2. So are you seeing the pattern? To get a3, I took a1 times a2. To get a4, I'm going to go a3 times a2, like the previous two. To get a5, so if n is 5, 5 minus 1 is 4. 5 minus 2 is 3. So it's just multiplying the two previous ones to get the next one. So 3 times 3 is 9. So to get a5, I'm going to go 9 times 3. So that's 27. So that's that worksheet, how to do it. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully between the notes and this, you're able to start to get an idea of what this is.